occlusion, there are two dimensions, two aspects to it. One is occlusion in static, which is this, and second is occlusion in excursion, which is dynamic. Okay, so please pen these 2 points down, and then I will go ahead. Occlusion at static and occlusion in dynamic. I will first talk static, then we will discuss dynamic. Static. Now, I'm giving you a super simplified picture. Occlusion is never this simple, but if you understand like an ideal model, life becomes easier to reciprocate this in the patient's mouth. Now, when you put articulating paper into the patient's mouth and you ask the patient to do tap, 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 there are certain points that you should keep and certain points that you should remove. If it's a maxillary premolar, you want 2 points contact. Okay, these are your ideal 2-point contact. So please, in your notes, go ahead and mark these points on the slide which is empty. Okay, so I've given you one slide where there are no markings. So please, with your blue pen, go ahead and mark this, because this is the best way to remember that when you put articulating paper and you get multiple marks, you are supposed to remove all of the marks excepting for these two. These two are your good static stops. This is for a premolar. This is the ideal occlusal contacts for a molar. Now, what do you see here? Contacts are at the cusp tips, which is your functional cusp tip. That's your palatal cusp tip. Second, the contacts are on your marginal ridges. Typically in a maxillary, at least in a class 1 occlusion, it's the mesial marginal ridge. And third is the central fossa. Okay. So which are the contacts on the cusp tips? These contacts right here. These are your functional cusp tip contacts. These are your marginal ridge contacts. And these are your central fossa contacts. Now, oh wow, that actually turned out to be the colors of the India flag. Wasn't going for that, but it did happen. Okay. Now, what's important to recognize, friends, here is these contacts are either at the cusp tip or at a fossa. All right. If you remember, the occlusal scheme that we followed today is cusp tip to fossa relationship. If I were to show you a cross section, okay, look here. This is, let's say, a molar. Where are the contacts on a molar? There is a functional cusp tip contact here, and there is a central fossa contact here. Okay. Now, what's important to understand about a cusp tip to fossa contact is your occlusal contacts will either be at the highest point of the tooth or the deepest point of the tooth. Is this making sense? Either at the highest point, which is this, or at the deepest point, which is this. It cannot be anywhere here on this slope. Why can it not be on this slope? Because a slope contact is never a stable static contact. If you contact a slope, you automatically slide from that area and your occlusion changes. You want stable contacts. So the contact should be either at the highest point on the tooth or the lowest point on the tooth, which is why you cannot have a contact here. 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 You cannot have it anywhere else, because everywhere else the tooth is a slope. Where is it not a slope? At the highest point, which is the peak, or the deepest fossa, which is your valley. Hence, a cusp tip to fossa contact relationship. Okay. Now, let's look at the mandibular arch. So please open up your next slide and put this down. Here again, the concept is the same. You have functional contact, which is on the buccal. You have a marginal ridge contact, which is on the distal. So please remember this. It's a distal marginal ridge contact. For a mandibular, maxillary is mesial. And this is for a mandibular molar. So please go ahead and mark these. Remember, these are your static occlusal contacts. Now, let me give you a very realistic picture. If we're talking about a mandibular molar, this tooth, 4 contact points is ideal. Please pen this down. 4 contact points is ideal. It's not always possible. It's not always possible. 3 contacts is recommended. 3 points of contact, which means I have, let's say, this contact, and this contact. I don't have this contact. Is that okay? That's okay. At least 3 points. Okay. And then write down 2 is minimum. 4 is ideal number of contacts on a molar. 3 is recommended contacts on a molar, 2 is minimum contacts on a molar. If you don't have 2 points of contacts on a molar, you will possibly get interdental food lodgement later. Why minimum 2 points of contact? Because remember, a tooth can either drift buccally, lingually, or it can drift mesially or distally. So in all of these both dimensions, you want a stable contact. So at least 2 points of contact is minimum required. Right? Let me tell you, we have evolved tremendously, because there was a time where we used to believe in the science of gnatology, and gnatology says you need at least 150 points of contact. Look here, this is what gnatology says. Gnatology says every cusp should have a 3-point contact. It's called tripodization. Today we are saying every cusp should only have 1 point of contact. Now tell me, is occlusion still difficult? 1 point contact, 2 point contact lana is very, very easy. The dentistry that we used to follow at one point of time was far too complicated, because I had to get at least 3 points contact per cusp for it to get a stable occlusion. Oh. This was the time, friends, when fully adjustable articulators came into the picture. And do you remember reading about those? Because I don't want to go back to those days. Fortunately, we don't have to. Okay. I will take you through the entire process and the journey of making sure how to get at least these points of contact, and I will make your clinical dentistry worth enjoying. That is a guarantee from me. When we talk bisque trial, I will give you science and knowledge and understanding of how to get these contact points spot on every time.